Well, it's January 1st. On the hinge, right in between 2024, 2012, 2025, 2052. I, I needed to come on. This might be a blackout. I'm not really sure yet. My sleep schedule's been all screwed up this week because we were getting down to this flip state. And so I know a lot of y'all have been on weird sleep schedules, and mine has been, I've been staying up until around 3:30 in the morning, and then I've been sleeping until around 11. At least I only had one night in all of this where I had no sleep. Now, if you get a night where you have no sleep at all, then FYI, you're embodying a higher energetic current, like a soul extension, and it messes up your nervous system. And when it comes in a little bit, and that's why you might have no sleep or not be able to sleep. However, I woke up this morning to the stuff with New Orleans. And you guys have been messaging, a couple of y'all have messaged me about it because you've been following me, and you know this, the journey that I've been on that has been connected with New Orleans, and I'm really shook up about it right now. It's one of the reasons that I'm not showing my face. I'm shook up about, first of all, I need everyone to understand and what's going on right now within the cosmos and the physics. Today and really tomorrow is January 2nd is going to be the solstice on the other, between the Julian and the Gregorian calendar. And because we had two new moons this year, which is a time traveler thing, if you want to call it that, but now we know it's always been an ascension thing that hooks in specific DNA groups into the matrix. It's how they were running it and cooking it. So this year, that's what's being undone. So in a lot of ways, today and tomorrow really are the first, January 1st, because and so today, and if you just want to think about that, like two storms that are hitting, one's coming from one side, one's coming from the other side, when those storms meet up in the middle and kind of have to fizzle each other out, that's today. And the reason that it's today, and it's not necessarily every January 1st, the reason it's today is because of all the changes that we've had to make in the matrix in order to blow the matrix and expand it so that the people are not being rolled like cattle on an electric rod through the internet. And my whole journey from the beginning, standing up for humanity and standing since 2017, whenever all this happened, the factions around me would laugh and make fun of me because I was helping the people. The factions around me were punishing me every single time I came on and did a video, every single time that I got any of this information out, every single time I made it to somebody in the physical and got him a message. Why? Because I was helping the people. And I would be considered from the Judah line, which Judah is Joshua and those connections into Cleopatra and then Mary Magdalene and the true original creator families. So I'm saying all this because they punished us. And we watched this happen to the world. You know, right after 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, everyone was really helping each other throughout the world. Everybody was looking into their spirituality. Everybody was trying to figure out what was going on. Everyone was most people were helping other people that you didn't really even know. And then across the board in 2021, that really like a program just came in and stopped. And the reason, and I saw this so big time in California, especially at the beach, because that's where I was. And so if you know Venice Beach and you know LA and Hermosa, I mean, from a United States perspective, you would probably consider it the most spiritual, or at least new agey type of energetic, you know, which they would consider new age frequency stuff. And nobody was talking about it. Nobody wanted a reading. Nobody wanted to dip their toe into spiritual stuff. Nobody wanted a glimpse of what was going to happen. And I knew why, because the whole fucking net of us that were helping one another literally got shocked. The whole human race, because everyone that was helping got messed with. And it's just how it was. And it was a frequency thing. Now, here's the thing with the New Orleans thing. And I'm so shook up about this New Orleans thing because I just came on here and talked about this event on these lives the past couple of times that I came on. I said, even in that video, if there was one replay that I could see where I went in and changed time, it would have been Bourbon Street when that voodoo guy was chasing me. And I even said, because it was right at the barrier on Bourbon Street where they don't let you drive. I mean, we had to jump over the barrier, get inside where all the people were. I found two people a group of men. They were actually ended up being, I think, from Turkey. We had to ask them because they saw us in a panic. They saw that man because he was standing on the barricade at that point, attempting to arouse a riot with the crowd, attempting to get the crowd to attack us. Now, this was the summer of 2021, and right after this is when the whole thing with Natalie Viscuso, BlackRock, and Henry Cavill came around. The voodoo that they were doing on me was attached to BlackRock, Natalie Viscuso, and the whole thing leads into this whole Epstein government, Israel real estate thing that nobody really realizes what the hell that everyone was up to. Because they're not talking to the real people that were being controlled in the program. They're only talking to the pawns, the ones that were actually getting the sex and mutilated and They weren't the victims. They were a victim, but they weren't the main victims. They were used as pawns in order to create a bigger spell on the ones that the intention was heading to. And it's very specific DNA lines and very specific rituals that they were doing on the threads of us that were attached into the human race and to these matrix and the Tartarian grid system. So first of all, in New Orleans, this wasn't the first part of this event. That building blew up at Magazine Street. In New Orleans, they had, you got to remember that they changed, after Katrina, they changed all their road names, and all those road names and the phonetics of those road names are what was hooked into the undercurrents and into the DNA stuff and how the machine worked. So the reason that that building blew and just combusted is because it was holding a matrix pole from a subcurrent. That's why that transmitter blew. That's why the building collapsed, because the building was basically holding up a grid. Like a tight grid on everybody. Now, that building coming down is going to be just the process of unwinding from the matrix, because energetically, when the people, whenever when it comes up enough. Now, this is also linked into the primordial mist that everyone is seeing, and that is primordial mist. It's what it is. It's primordial. You can go back and look at all your history books whenever we're talking about any type of big ascension, because this isn't even a 12,000 year or 24,000 year count. We blew out of the solar system. Our energy in its full capacity could not even hold, we couldn't even, this is why Virgo stands up and walks out. Virgo really does walk out of there. We really did. We have been. This is the quantum leap. You can't activate a full-on incarnate inside a sim system and not expect for the video game to change. You put one active character inside a sim video game, and it's going to change the whole game. Now, what's really, 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 really bothering me about New Orleans, because number one, it was two different timelines, because that was summer 2021 that we got out of there and all that stuff happened. Mind you, we were in Myrtle Beach before we went to Vegas. I said Vegas. I was in Myrtle Beach. They were telling me that Henry Cavill was coming to me. They told me then that Henry Cavill and his mother were kidnapped. Then they told me that Henry Cavill and his mother were being held hostage by a man named Tom that we never got exactly. Now, I don't know what dimension this was happening in, but as far as what the uniforms look like of the people that were holding them hostage, they look like Air Force. That's why when we were at Myrtle Beach and we were planning on staying there, we had even paid already for another night, and all this started happening. Now, mind you, I'm the divine feminine. All I ever needed to do was meet one of me down here. This had nothing to do with love. This had nothing to do. They wanted to make it into all that. But as far as all of us that were on the ground, that were starseeds, we had very specific missions in order to get to and around very specific people that were in very specific groups down here. And the twin story and the love story was actually just a way to make it happen. The other reason that it was all in love and it was all wrapped around love was because we had to use string theory in order to even get the messages to 2 and 3 and 4 different spheres. When you understand the anatomy of how this all works, and you understand that if you're a star crew having to plan a mission that's supposed to last over 1,000,000 years, then love is pretty much the only thing that's going to make you do anything. So we were at Myrtle Beach, and all that started happening. And then there was a toddler that was with us, and she got thrown down the stairs by some deity. We had a toddler traveling with us. And as all this is going on, the toddler goes out the front door and falls down a flight of stairs in the middle of all this at the same time. And I knew in that minute that we had to get out of South Carolina. And that I knew that we had to get to New Orleans, because New Orleans was the only place that I was going to be able to battle that shit out. When we got to New Orleans, we couldn't even go inside the Bourbon Street grids. We had to stay in the business district, and we had to stay there a specific amount of days before I could even move over into Dauphin in order to get inside the grid. As soon as we got inside the grid, that's when the voodoo shit started. They even took me to see the voodoo high priest on Bourbon Street. That's when I did, and because they were what they were doing to me on the street that day, that's why I was able to heal the 2 people on the street, which I did. Then whenever I did, and I got back to the hotel, that's whenever the New Orleans cops showed up to try and attempt to trap me in that grid with magic. Now, fast forward that whole thing. Now it was that night, and then the New Orleans cops came, and then it was the very next day that then on Instagram, the pictures of Henry Cavill and Natalie Vescuso started blaring everywhere, and I didn't know anything about her. Now, it wouldn't have been a big deal in my world, except for since 2021, there's a Natalie that came around me that ended up being the one that could get me out of Anaheim, and who had been a huge piece in this. And my Natalie is the one that comes from the King Henry line. Because y'all got to remember, we were here clearing up all of these old monarch lines. And so basically all that crap that I just talked about is all hinged up in a King Henry line that was cutting off heads of women and burying them, and in order to make a matrix grid system, because it's what they were doing. What we ended up figuring out is that the King Henry line was nothing but made up the whole fucking time. The King Henry line was only a mimic. It ended up having power later on down the road, but it ended up having the power and being a main family because it was a mimic, and it was made by magic. So now fast forward August, and it's when Michelle from Netherlands, since 2018, and she's my business partner and all this. And y'all got to remember, I'm a lot of things. And what I'm starting to realize is that with the incarnate and primordial connections that I have, it's more like, and this is why I was able to rewrite physics, and this is how I was able with all of you, but it's why I had the knowledge to pull the physics up, because basically all we've done is pull physics up out of black magic. All that we've done is pull physics out of black magic to where any low current won't hold. You have to utilize higher subliminal intuition, thought, words, sound, music, color. Your smoke, blood, piss, and shit ain't gonna do nothing but pile it on, because we changed the physics of it. This is why the grids are changing. This is why magazine blue. Well, when me and Michelle went there, we knew it. When we got to New Orleans, we knew that we had blown out of a collider. The way I was even able to get a hotel room there, the only way was because I'd been there so many times at that hotel, and I had flipped dimensions and flipped timelines from the St. Helene because it was my hotel. The hotel was even under a lease warrant because I had already claimed the hotel. Same thing as I had already claimed the Evergreen, which is a sugar plantation that I talk about a lot, which is my fucking property. And this is the same thing as all of our other properties that are all over the United States that they knew were stolen from the get. All these buildings and all this land belongs to all of us, not to them. And they know it. When we were there in August, I knew that because we had already proved Saint Sarah and it had never been done before. And so when we went into New Orleans, I had the ability to walk the death timelines of everybody who had ever died there in our lines trying to get us out. And that weekend, I died 350 times getting us out of the G Corps. And Michelle was my witness. Not Michelle Lemmy. Michelle Campen. Now, on Bourbon Street, the second day that we were there was when I had to sing in the middle of Bourbon Street, and I was up on the balcony. And if you go listening to the accounts of this wreck last night, that's what the people and the locals that are from there, they ran inside and ran up to the balconies in all of the buildings because they knew the buildings. Most of the ones who weren't local were just trying to get into the bottom. So the locals were all running. They ran up to the balcony. That's where me and Michelle were. That's where I had to sing this song. That's where I knew that we had blown out of the dimensions. And somehow or another, even those people that died today are coming with us. Now, this was on the heels of what happened with Target yesterday in Los Angeles, which is what's got me, which is why I'm shaking over here and I don't even want to show my face, because the Target incident that happened at Fig and 7th Street down in Los Angeles was also tied up in all of this. Go look at that from an aerial. That Target and the quantum energy that's around those buildings at Fig and 7th is right next to 6th and the Pegasus ExxonMobil building, where all of this went down with me trying to get out of California in 2022 after I had changed the Harvest Moon settings and they were trying to lock me back down into the Pegasus system, which now I know in some ways we even allowed him to do it to get back, because it's right now what I'm finally busting out of. It's how I've been able to stay so silent and calm over here. But at the same time, that's because I had gone back into a Pegasus system that they had set up on me because of who I was and what I was here doing, reclaiming our land for all of us. Target was a big piece of all of this. Target stores have been in this, and it's the real estate that they're on. It's the cooperation that's with all of whenever there's a Target, there's all these different stores that are around it. All of them, it has to do with land locks, water gates, matrix grid systems, and what those groups of stores have all decided that real estate is going to do right there. And then what sigil they do, because whenever you're dealing with quantum energy, you're dealing with what everything looks like from Google Earth, and an energy field coming down in it. If there's a spiral, then the energy when it comes in is going to spiral. It's also, if you're walking around in those grids and they send out a signal to freaking get some people, then if you happen to be the one that's on the drugs or in a lower frequency, then you're gonna just do it. You're not even going to know what you're doing. Now, what blows my mind in all of this, because I was real hesitant, because first of all, it's new. It's. Let's say it's New Year's Eve day. Okay, well, I'm feeling like today and tomorrow are New Year's Eve day, because as far as I'm concerned, everything since December 21st until, which is the solstice, and until January 2nd, is all been an illusion that was placed over them for them to carry out their bullshit. And what we're seeing, though, it's the most troubling about all of this, is that the United States government made us with these abilities in order to cook the entire human race into a simulation system and tune it. The United States government then knew that they were supposed to let us out. The United States government knew all of us that were inside their little experiment that they've been experimenting on us, especially since 2017, watching us, handling us, and then maneuvering us to do their dirty work. The United States government activated all of us in 2017 in order to come in and connect all this DNA so that they could recook everybody to a alternative electronic Earth again. The United States government is at the same time every move that we make in order to get us out so that the human race does not end and become programmed by a non-human entity is attempting to keep us in the hole. When our primordial universal law energies crack the cube so that the humans can come out and the energy can come out, as was written even by the ones who did the experimentation on us, then why are the foreigners and ISIS going in that back chain and hurting people right where we did it? This has been going on since 2021. When my son Rex came to visit me in LA, there were 2 shootings within a week at the exact spot that we were standing. When we changed the timelines, these foreign entities of some sort are coming behind us using the channel that we open in order to then do a sacrifice or something. Well, we're stealing your little boat. So it's either that it's either one or the other. United States government, it's either that you are fully compliable in this, and that you see everything that's going on, and that you're witnessing both timelines, and then you're allowing them to come in a back door into our matrix settings, which sounds like some Epstein shit if I ever heard of it, which is what this is real estate bullshit was all about, because it ain't over there. It's down here in the United States. This is the command center. Or it's that the United States government is so ignorant to everything that is spiritual that they have no idea and can't even see a higher timeline, which is actually even more scary than the first one. Now, here's the thing. Sugar Bowl is in New Orleans tonight. What's the evergreen? A sugar plantation. What is it? Where were we from? South Africa. Who's from South Africa? Well, y'all know. Cape Town And the tip of South Africa is the Cabal fucking headquarters. It's where it all got started because it's connections to Antarctica. Their last names are Cohen, Cohen, and it's got a hen in it, and it's linked up to Henry and this whole monarch fucking whatever the fuck they had going on. And Henry from Stranger Things at the very end is basically what they did with it. And as far as I'm concerned, and everything that I've seen over here and witnessed about how Nigeria came in and took over Henry Cavill's entire timeline as it was written, even if Henry was a write-in character, that man was voodooed and avatared every way up and down since Saturday because they did the same fucking thing to me. Except I was able to get out of it because I was counteracting it every moment they were doing it to me. And I want to remind you that if they do it to me, then they can do it to all of you. Because as soon as they do it to me, it goes throughout the lines. That's why Epstein did what he did. Every single wife of every single monarch or true DNA leader down here is a spy. Kate Middleton, Epstein, Meghan Markle, Epstein. It's linked into Megan Fox, demonic music industry. It's what makes a Meghan Markle. What street am I on? Meghan. What does it run into? Epright. What does Epright intersect with? Chip. Now, on New Year's Day, you're not supposed to clean. You're not supposed to do your laundry. You're not supposed to cry. You're not supposed to cry because that could set the scene for your whole year. You're not supposed to clean because you could accidentally clean something that you just brought in your basket for the new year. You're not supposed to do things on the first of this 0 point days that you don't want replicating. So I sat and I thought about this before I was going to come on and do this blackout video. I said, you know what? I don't want to say nothing that ends up getting replicated. But here comes the cardinal villain era. If this whole year is nothing but calling out this all this crap, I'm fine with that. Because at least it's getting called out. If you're a healer, don't work on anybody's stuff today or tomorrow. My healers, the problem is we heal everybody else and then we're not getting healed because they have us all separated. So I need everybody that's a healer that knows that you're a really powerful soul. I need you to be really fucking selfish these next 2 days. If your leaders don't end up into position, your timelines won't start. If your leaders get wrapped up in some uncleaned healing stuff, it can pull the squad backwards. And I command that it's not possible. It will not be allowed. Anybody that attempts to do it consciously, I send them back to 1. Anybody that isn't doing it consciously, I command that they see what made them make that move. See, the problem is all of us that know the mission and know what's supposed to happen, then we're your healers, and then everybody relies on us to heal all of you. But then those of us who know the most information, we ain't got nobody to help us. The human race is supposed to be helping us, but the human race is so worried about their independent shit. If we were only worried about my son, my family, my lover, my company that got stolen, my son that I can't see, if I was only worried about that, we'd all be dead right now. And that's the entire human race. And that's to all of us that led this mission. But now it's time for us to have something happen for us. And we have to be really careful, because the way that the New Age healing system was set up to fuck us, because like I said in the beginning, we were the ones who came here to heal everybody. Well, then that's what they said. Yeah, then that's what you said. You were going to heal everybody. And until we did, then they weren't going to do, we didn't even have the opportunity to get out. They didn't let us out. We had to heal everybody in the world, clean the entire national deficit, clean every single dollar bill, yen and franc down here, make a digital current, turn it into bit, go into the system, be processed like energetic body, hosed into a billion different pieces, and then put ourselves back together. And then they said, okay, if you can do all that, then that proves that you're actually who you are. Okay, well, that's been done. It's been done to the extent that two different realities are here now. Somebody wrote on the Norma Jean group and Tanja group, the Adventures for Connection, they said, we can't wait for the white hats anymore. You are correct. You're looking at a white hat. We're here. We've been down here. There is no Chinese group of people that walk around and are Japanese, all those gangs where they walk around and we're all white. Guess who they're working for? The Ascended Collective. Whether or not they realize it or not. We have to raise our vibratory frequency in order to hit Web 4.0, which we figured out in the past 48 hours was built in the ethers as soon as they said that they were going to build the third temple. As soon as they said they were going to build the third temple, the fourth temple was made and turned on. As far as the people that pass away in these events, a lot of them actually signed up to be the ones to go down in it, believe it or not. And as far as spiritual soul in these events, the other thing with the Target guy, I got to go back to Target, because I got to go back to Target and talk about this real quick, because I didn't, Anaheim 2022, when I was dealing with the Haka demon on Chapman Street, right there in Anaheim at Garden Grove, right on top of Disneyland, right in between the Hyatt and the Delta. In that area in Anaheim, Garden Grove area, where you can drive around, and if you know what you're looking for, you can see the set. There's literally a set up on that town. There's a record needle that's on that street. California looks like a set for the Matrix whenever you understand how the metal works and the engineering and what they were doing over there. It's all right there. So 2022, where all this was going down and I was being cooked, and mind you, we still aren't exactly sure where I was. There was gunshots going off every single night in that area, and I'd been up and down LA for a couple of years, and it's not normal. And the factions that were around us, the stuff that was going on, it's and when I left there, you know, my GPS was all wonker. We really felt like we were in Colombia or Venezuela. So there's a Target that's right across the street there, and there's a little area that I walked a lot up and down that had, because wherever I am and sit for a long period of time, if I'm under attack, then it becomes the cauldron basically, and I'm like moving around in the cauldron. So this is where they were trying to spinal tap us. And I'm going to go to the store. I leave. I'm walking down the street. I get to the intersection, and there's it looked like a Hawaiian mix of a Hawaiian, African American, slender, tall, big afro. And he was on the opposite side of the street, and there was a fire hydrant that had blown. And he turned that fire hydrant into the middle of the intersection, blowing the water into the middle of the intersection right as I was crossing the street. And I'm walking on one side of the street, he's walking on the other. He's screaming at me, and I know that he has a demon in him. And I start screaming light language at him, binding him from the other side of the street. We get up to where the Target is and the driveway is, and just the week before, there was a car wash in that parking lot that had to do with Crystal something, a really, 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 really old car wash that they decided to explode. So just the week before, they had exploded that car wash and done a whole bunch of digging and mining in that parking lot right before this happened. So I have to cross the street, and now he's walking up into Target, and I'm frantic because the demon's about to go into Target. On the bench at the front door, there's nobody there, but there's a bottle of sunflower seeds. And I made this connection too with Norma Jean and Tanja and the sunflower seeds, like just this morning. There was a bottle of the lid was even off. I mean, because I was chasing him. And so basically I got right behind him as he was about to walk into Target, and I grabbed that bottle of sunflower seeds, and I threw the sunflower seeds right in front of his path as he was going to go through the electronic doors. Right then, he stops and he looks at me and he starts screaming that I took his land, I took his land, I took his land, and screaming Jesus Christ stuff at me, like basically saying I'm Jesus and I took his land. And then everyone in the store, at the front of the store, is staring at us. Then he breaks off through the store. Well, here is the crazy part. I go directly to the security. And I tell the security, this guy is a demon. You need to get him out of here. Security then tells me to go wait outside. So I go outside. I wait. They come out. I tell them what happened. Then now I'm leaving. And I'm walking behind the Target because I'm going to go back. And security is standing out there just watching him as he's moving around the building. Now, the guy in Los Angeles that shot those two people at that Target at Fig Street, which is in the Bible, and 7th, he killed 2 security guards. We were walking out of time. these past 7 years. Now, I'm starting to think that what happened at Target and 7th and Fig was step one to New Orleans. Those two events are linked. In fact, all of them. I know there was something that swerved into London too. Like all these little things that have happened over the past 2 or 3 days across the United States of America, they're gonna share a strand in the matrix grid. A strand of layering. Almost like if you're in the valley in the Midwest and you don't have any skyscrapers, well, you're screwed, buddy. Because there's different bands according to how tall the building is. Now, I'll close with this. And I posted this on my TikTok if you have TikTok, but they also didn't show the ball go down in New York, which good, because I told them that if the ball goes down, then the whole realm's got to flip. And I told them that if they're not going to flip it, then I'm going to flip it before the ball goes down. And I'm pretty sure that's what we did when I went to the lake the other day. That's what gave us this in between to true this stuff up. It's how they got caught in our net, not the other way around. And I just lost my train of thought. The Tesla car burning in front of Trump Towers. Yes, I'm just now looking at the chat. I had to just get that out. Someone yelled out Crystal in New Orleans. No way. In my world, throughout this, the word crystal and dealing with crystal had to do with THC and seeds. Most everything that I was dealing with was dealing with hemp and weed, because that was going to be the organics is what came to life. So hemp and marijuana and all the organics, not the chemicals. That's like the people that come on here and blame me for doing meth and shit. Y'all are nuts. Like, y'all are whatever. I don't even know what y'all are talking about. Like, but the government, basically, hemp and marijuana became the new gold. All the fibers and the hemp fibers, they patented all of that stuff. It's like everyone did a Terrence Howard. They all went and made up a bunch of shit and then patented it. Well, if you've been able to obscure a government patent in the past 7 years, I can promise you that they aren't working for the people. All of our fabrics are about to change. It's all going to be hemp. They took over the factories. I mean, all the factories. I command all fashion industry factories and fashion houses that were made from black magic to go bankrupt. And I command that the factories that were taken after World War II by the people, by Chase Manhattan, that then the people in 1923 bankrupted and closed down Chase Bank. So then why the fuck is Chase still running Squid Games down here? See, these are the secrets that they don't want the people to know. This is why in Epstein. What's absolutely the most insane about this, and this is, I command that every single claim that our ascendants have found and every single piece and plot of land that we have healed throughout this and were for the human race and had to become for the human race, that our claims stand. and that it be shown every single deception for the past 7 years to the people. Because what they were doing is watching us go clean up history. And then they were playing from a different set of rules this whole time. Treaty of Paris was nullified. The Louisiana Purchase was nullified. The monarchs and the politicians that knew about the experimentation on starseeds and that had activated us in order to come clean it up, because I'm judgment, I'm karma, I'm Libra. If you want to find out who actually did it, I'm the one you send in. They knew that. They've been running the world from a different set of rules since 2018. And then changing the laws in order to attempt to keep it in session. All this stuff that we cleared should have been blared out to the people every single time that we did it. Because all of us should have started being able to live by a different set of rules. But in 2008, by 2018, all real estate down here should have been free. There shouldn't have been one of us paying a mortgage. There shouldn't have been one of us paying rent. Not one of us. It's why those of us who are leaders in all this don't have a place to live. Your most ancient incarnates down here that saved the world don't have family, don't have a place to live, and are fighting to survive. I command that the entire collective back them. I command that nothing goes to the rest of the collective until it gets to the leaders, because that's your quantum jump. If it doesn't get to the leaders and match up to bring us in, then it isn't going to jump you out of nothing. It feels more like to me that everyone in the human race is attempting to hold themselves to the old matrix. And I can understand this because, I mean, I get it. I get it. Not seeing my son for 4 years was the hardest thing and it really is a decision that I ended up having to make. It was either him or me. And knowing that what I knew and knowing why I was here, I knew I had to make it. Because if I didn't make it, he's going to die anyway. And it's actually what New Age set up and why there's going to be a special place in hell for these people who use spiritual knowledge to fuck with everybody. Because it's the one thing that the Ascended and the Star Crew and the Ascended Collective and the spiritual community did not do. Nobody was backing each other. There was not a hierarchy set up on land at all. There wasn't even a group of us that came together and were able to get together in order to set one up in the physical. All of it was set up in the ethers. All of it was rebuilt in the ethers because it was impossible for us to even do it down here. But then the rest of the spiritual collective didn't know which ones of us were the racehorses. So then y'all weren't backing us. And then everybody came to mimic us. Everybody wanted to be us. So it never got finished. Because then we spent all of our time making sure that we didn't become BlackRock and we didn't become Amber Heard. Because the rest of the collective is backing their bullshit and you're not backing your lead people because you didn't know who they were. Well, at the New Year's Eve where the ball so the ball didn't drop. I think they made people pay to watch the ball. Okay, well, first of all, then they fence everybody in, and everybody has to wear a diaper because you're literally there for 12 hours. You go into the fencing in Times Square at 2 p.m. in the afternoon, and you're there until probably about 2 in the morning, and so they all just wear diapers. So you've got a bunch of sheeple that go into and weight down with their DNA and their crazy shit, and then the whole spell is basically like Valhalla. And I don't mean Valhalla, oh, all hell Valhalla, because no, I'm talking about the weird little ceremonies that they had every 4 to 5 years, like the Olympics, where you would be chosen to be sacrificed. You'd be put in a pen like an animal until you were chosen to be sacrificed. And then you were sacrificed to Odin and all the gods. That's what created Valhalla. Well, that's what created an AI army. That's also what created an angelic army, but it's also what created a demonic army. So they're basically just redoing Valhalla in Times Square. Okay, well, that sounds about right for New York. Okay, so, but New York and New Orleans. Both of which have the most subterranean stuff that's linked to the feminine. Because Appalachians and North Carolina, whenever all this keeps coming uncoiled, New York's who did it. New York did it. That was the Helene. That's all their black magic and everything up in New York and the tunnel systems and everything that's gone on since all of it for the past all of it was hinged up there in New York underground. Same thing as New Orleans, but underwater. Now, the last little thing this is what I forgot to say earlier, and you'll see it on my TikTok. Right as the countdown was hitting on the ball in New York on national television, supposedly a guy pays to ask somebody to marry him. And so when the count gets down to 4, which they're not showing the ball because it's just one big light up obelisk, then it says, "Will you marry me?" Question mark, a big question mark, like the Joker. And then the name is Hayle, Hayle, Ayers, Ayers. Hayle Ayers, will you marry me? Well, Hayle, how? Hayle, like how? And air, Ayer, when you go look it up, means air. Heir. Inheritance. So that's and this is the Keanu Reeves and Prince Hamden and Fazza, Prince Ham, Dan, and Fazza, they call them both names, and them supposedly putting out all this propaganda to all of us down here about how much they love somebody, but it's been going, and they're looking for us, which has everyone who's a starseed who has a twin thinking that they're talking to them, but they know that that's what they're doing. And this whole thing was all built on fake marriages. Because they had us married off to them in name and in contract, but not in the physical. So they just say, "Yep, she's mine. Here's my harem down on earth." Now, none of them even know me, but they're all chained to me. Jason Momoa had 11. He had 11. I was the 10th. I was second to the last on the line. And when I saw all 11, I about fucking lost my cookie cutter. But see, that whole other side was doing elders and all of the death spells on the feminines had been going on forever, and they have their own little names for all their. I mean, but they're binding you in death. Well, we're not dead. You can't use our power. We're here. But they knew that. It's like Santa Claus and the reindeer. Is those are the ones that were chosen as the king to be some character that was going to rule over everybody. They had harems, but only in contract name. But that shit was holding. So I cut Israel and from real estate. First of all, real estate and Israel are not the same thing. And a REAL and an REEL is not the same thing. And the real and the Darnell TikTok time machine bullshit that they have airing about all this isn't going to propagandally phonetically change it. TikTok became a giant money launderer. TikTok became, I mean, and for the past 3 or 4 days, I have not been talking to many. If I've been not on any feeds, and if you've seen or you're worried about me, or you're like, it's because I have changed every single bit of this past 7 years, and all these things are coming in and connecting, and it's all dealing with our House of Kochi website, us getting this healing stuff out to everybody, and TikTok and the domains that were stolen, and our true tech sequence. When I built Kohu 32 with Michelle in 2023, Alibaba and the Chinese factories are what we were selling. We're still having to kind of sell it with House of Kochi, which is also why I think it's kind of in between right now, because these should be 100% hemp fibers, dyed in hemp, cotton. It shouldn't. Everything should be the highest vibe textiles. But y'all have to realize that at the base root of what the leaders have been fighting for down here, it was the ability to make new textiles and take over corporations to actually make good things for the people, not things that are killing them. That is why we were attacked and murdered. So that we couldn't get our hands on good fabric, so that we can't higher your vibration by the clothes you're wearing, which is what is the inheritance of the people for living through their gas chamber shit, and we need to demand it. We're entering, and the reason Etsy's going off, and the reason Etsy's doing what they're doing, and the reason Printify and Dropship and everything is the way it is, but it's still only getting that money to other countries. And yeah, some people are making some money in the meantime, and that is why it was even put into place. But it has been manipulated and utilized. It's like TikTok has become like this weird 3D, 5D printer, but it only prints foreign agents. I command all banned accounts on TikTok take dominant energy of TikTok. And I command all banned accounts to re-roll and refeed inside TikTok. I really think we own it. I think that's why they want to shut it down. It's really 5D that owns it, and they know it. And it's universal law, and there's nothing they can do about it. The thing is, if we can't clean it up, it needs to be shut down, because then it'll open up something else that's actually going to do it correctly. Where is TikTok getting their money? These are the conversations that I've been having the past couple of days. Where is TikTok getting their money? They're paying $50, $60, $70 right now to get people onto TikTok whenever we're told it's going to be shut down in 20 days. Number one. I understand that that's all coupons and that everything's marked up 400, 500, 600%, and we're still getting it cheap. However, where is that money coming from? They're paying thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on certain videos that they allow to get out and that they push out to go viral, and then you're getting paid for that viral video. Where's that money coming from? They got free advertising. Everybody's advertising them for free. Everybody's advertising their stuff for free. Everybody's getting a commission on what all that's sold. Where's the money coming from? If nobody owns TikTok, and if we don't even know that it's a Singapore person that supposedly owns it, but then you're saying that it's really China, and you can't even tell me where's the money coming from? You're telling me that the government can't go pull up where the money's coming from? Where's the TikTok account that's paying all these people this money? Where's the flow? Where's the money coming in? Who's paying them? See, where this gets real delicate is that this is a currency shift, and money has always been on human currency. It's what it is. Money is human sexual energy, pretty much, when you get down to it. It's what it equals. So when they're trying to put you into an electric globe system that's electric, where you're the human energy and all the money is getting valued by what current you're making and putting out, then that system completely stops when people stop healing. There's no current. If the human race doesn't continue to heal, blow up in their kundalini, work their process in ascension, there is no digital current. There's no current. There's no movement. It's a complete fucking lockdown. That's why they don't want Cohu 32 out. But what is universal law and perplexing about it is that it's what made it to begin with, and they know it. The only piece of this entire system that's left to do is for the human race to activate and to start healing, and for them to have the conscious to understand and at least try to experience what that means. So we just command it so. And I command by tonight at midnight, that we flip to Web 4.0, that all satellite systems go down, that there's no type of EMF or energetic from the matrix or anything down here that can hold the current from rising. And that our leaders step into the roles that have been set by divine law, because we don't even know exactly where we're going to end up yet. I'll add this because I've seen it throughout the last 3 years with the ones that I worked with. As your lead, if you're not like all the way out, because I mean there's not even three, or we're talking like 4 or 5 leaders that I'm talking about that are connected into 5 billion. I'm talking about 5 people, humans, leaders that need to get into specific positions and connections in order for everyone's timelines to elevate. Because there wasn't anything written for us next. Those of you that are coming through everything still, your timelines are still gonna raise. It's gonna feel like you got a raise. That's been the problem, because everyone gets one raise and then they want to sit down. And then if you do that, then what you don't realize is that you got raised to the witch's table and now you're at the table. And if you want to sit down there, then now you're going to have to prove your witchiness in order to get the fuck out. Otherwise, you need to just realize that the programs, like for instance, with me, I never was homeless. This is why they've tried so hard to say that I was homeless. This is why they even took my son, tried to say I was homeless. I've never been homeless. I've slept in my car one time, and it was because I was coming out of Sturgis and it was the safest place for everybody energetically if me and Fernando slept in a field. They want you to think I was homeless because then you think that then that's what you're going to have to do in order to complete it. No, I stayed in nice hotels. I was staying in condominiums. I always had a bed. I always had food. Because I walked that way, if you guys need to make a jump and leave and you've only got $200 in your pocket, the same that I did, it will be provided for you because I've already walked it. In my life as Christy, the one thing I always had was a roof over my head and food. Now, that's pretty much it. I didn't have any emotional backing. I didn't have any cheerleaders in the family. I didn't have anybody helping me. I had no wisdom in the family. I had to figure it out all on my own, but that was my training. But I always had anything I needed in the physical. All of you that came in my codes should have always had the same thing. This is why I fought so hard, because I saw what was going on. Y'all didn't get anything you were supposed to already have. I at least had that. I at least went to college. I at least worked. I at least was a CEO. I have sold a company. I have built a company. I've sold a company. I'm in your line. I've been the one down here writing it to make it possible for everybody else. So for a lot of the other, just realize if it takes you 2 or 3 years to get to where you're 100% writing a 100% new timeline, just remember you don't have to go all the way out to 100% if you don't want to. If you don't want to cut everything from your old self and you don't think that it's good for you to do that, you don't have to. But it still means that you're going to elevate, because you always should have had something you never got. And we've watched it time and time again, especially with my business partner, Michelle and Natalie. Like and all of us know it. It's like after we finished the clearing, it's like it was very clear what Michelle went back in when she went back to the Netherlands, where she stepped into my old timeline. It was very clear when Natalie went back to Detroit what timeline of Christie's she was in. Because each one had to deal with different things, but it was separate 10-year and 5-year stints where, like for instance with Natalie, she had never been a manager. She had never been in charge of a group. She had never in a startup type of atmosphere, and that's the job she landed as soon as she got back. But if I look in my world, whenever she told me that, I knew exactly what that working there was going to end up teaching her and showing her, because it was a piece of what she needs to know to go move forward. And she already knew that before I told her. So just remember, when you're backing the leaders, this is what you're backing. And we've already done the rest for you. So all we're asking for is assistance to take the crowns off the heads and the accounting and the pens out of the hands of the Epstein mimic bullshit that is the one that stole everything that you were supposed to have down here when I just started talking about this. It should have been a gimme. So I'm looking at the chat now. So if y'all have any questions, is S coming from selling your data and everyone connect? It's not selling. They're selling data. Data can be picked up without you even putting it in a computer. That's my point. There's no way for you to protect anything on a technical system. You have to learn how to protect your own body and mind and consciousness from not getting siphoned without the tech. That's the training wheels. That's why even all of us had to go through the battles that we went. We were battling for our consciousness. We were battling to get them out of our minds, because your thought process is the data that they're looking for. They want to hook into it live. Nothing down here is going to be live, like live, real time, until January 4th. January 4th, we'll be back live, real time. We're not even live real time right now. Right now, it's like we're in this weird 0 point energy where all these pieces are having to be maneuvered over all the protection and everything in these new grid systems. Nothing's live. Everything's on a replay right now. It's either a replay from what we did as we changed it, or from what they had planned and projected, because they'd already done it in the past and they were trying to do it again. The temperature thing, over the past month at different times, my crew and I got bone chills. And it's where because the marrow is having to change. The marrow is what's changing. And that's what's causing the cold snap. Because all of our marrow is changing. And it's like a bone chill. And it's that primordial fog. And basically, it's filling, all the cold energy is coming down into the south and filling in like all these energetic gaps, because it was like we took a cataract out of Fomalhaut. And in fact, my team and I have had to watch a thing about cataracts in the past 48 hours, because it really is like we were all living in a cataract that was made by a tesseract, and that cataract is being removed from the eye. That big, huge blast of cold energy is the basically where the cataract was holding fluid in the eye. So it's like the cold burst is coming in to fill up the space where the cataract was. And a cataract ends up looking like a little bitty gummy. It looks like a weird amoeba gummy plasma field that's like gushy, that builds up in front of the eyeball, and they have to cut the eye, and then it looks like a little weird like blister baby comes out, and it was like, oh my God, where the hell was that thing? But that little blister baby thing is definitely what the dragon was in, because the cold energy is coming down the Mississippi, because this is all about the dragon lifting its head and us getting the fuck out of here. Like, I'm no longer, I was your planet. I'm not in there anymore. I know somebody's going in, because I've been a part of binding them to put them in there, but it doesn't necessarily, I don't know who, and it doesn't necessarily mean that they can't get out, because I mean, and if they can get their shit together, nobody needs to go in the planet. That's the point. This is the end of a planetary system. Like, if they don't do right by me, then they're going to go into a planet, and then they're going to start another planetary system, and it'll be the timeline from 1,000,000 years from now that we'll see them, because they're going in to be the planet. They tried to steal. They want to be, everybody that traveled with me that I knew was trying to mimic me. I warned every single one of them. Why the fuck would you want to be me? Have you lost your mind? They only wanted to be us at the end whenever we had all the power, whenever we had done all the work. Well, it's not how it works. You switch places with me in the middle of me claiming it for 72 million years, then you just switched with me. And I'll remind everybody that was totally mind fucked, because even the ones that the ones that came after me, Jason Momoa and Henry Cavill, they were the most set up. The ones in the industry knew too much about us. They would have never come. That's why they were hiding in the background. They sent these two guys because these two guys were set up. But I can even explain that from another archangel type of thing. They sent in those to mess with us because they knew that. They knew every time that they would send something that we would undo it and wrap it on them. Now, the other thing I'll add is that the last thing that I just saw was that Nigeria's coast was just shut down by China. And I don't know. I haven't checked this. I saw it on TikTok. I haven't gone to even check it to see the legitimacy. But what the story said is China took over Nigerian coast because they owed them too much money. Well, Nigeria was the one who set up the entire Henry Cavill voodoo thing. Any room that an ascended is in any dimension, in every dimension, that there's beings around them that don't give them a voice and that they can't be seen, I command for us to be seen in every room that our name is spoken. I command that we teleport and be seen in every room that any name that is associated to us across all space and time is associated with. And I command that they see the face of the one walking on the ground when it's mentioned. And that is all codes too. Anybody talking in code, any code that's referenced, number that's referenced, letter that's referenced, that is assigned to one of us, then I command that we appear in the room. Two 44. 1244, 1244, 1244, 1444, 444, send the shockwave. Guys, the only reason that they'd able to get away with this long is because they kept making beings like me that were so fucking evolved, that and they would pin it all on one of us because we were the primordial, and then they counted on the rest of the world never believing that it was possible, that it was all set up on one. But when you understand how this works, it's real easy to see why they would set it all up on one. This is why they kept blowing me out and elevating me, because what they wanted to do was get me as far away from the human race as possible so that I would only be making shit for them. And it's how this has been going down here for thousands of years. I haven't even looked at the moon yet for the full moon that's coming up. I know that what I'm doing over here is like, okay, how do I want to show up now with the brand? What am I supposed to be? A lot of it really is shifting, and it was even shifting out of Kohu 32 into more House of Kochi, and using the tools in order to help change the energy of our houses, to help heal each other, for ADD, for OCD, for energetic connections. Use the House of Kochi stuff, the fashion that's coming in that we've introduced. Because that stuff is what changes it quickly, not just everybody knowing about it. Because you don't even know that the matrix is subliminally changing your world, but it does. Our intention is to build it back up the way it's supposed to be and get your inheritance. That's what every piece of stuff that we have, that you put in your house, has on it. And it dominates everything else that you've got in your house as far as energetics. Me and Michelle had made the decision even before the September thing came in, that's what we were going towards, more of getting the stuff out, and then the timeline changed. All of y'all came in, we rewrote all of this. All of y'all have a more understanding of this now. We're going to keep doing the education as the transits come in, because it's when you need to know it. It's not that you can't get a chart. We've got some other ways in order for that to happen. My point is, for me, I'm not supposed to be just sitting here healing everybody. That's not my job. My job isn't to get Kohu 32 out to everyone and make sure everyone else can utilize it, and I'm supposed to be building with it. So we've done everything that we can to the point that we're at, in order to get additional, ways to get y'all and even giving you the directions. But as far as of how to pull your chart, as far as, I'm just explaining to you guys as far as an incarnate, because we don't want to get stuck as a healer. We don't want to be just the healer. We've been that. That's the problem. Everybody down here can do what we can do. Everybody down here is expected to do what we can do in the future. You can't live in the future the old way. It's impossible. You don't have the same resources. You can't live in this new energy the way you used to. But what this new energy can do is elevate you quickly if you've cleaned and already passed the tests in all your other lifetimes. But we didn't come here as the ascended in order to be saints and heal the world. It's what we had to do in order to get down here and rebuild a current and a commerce that is fair to the world, because we should all of us be walking around in $1,000 pair of shoes. Every single one of us should be walking around in a $1,000 pair of shoes. If we want to get there, then what we need is everyone to step up into their positions, and that's what's happening. A lot of you that haven't been doing healing videos, that haven't been speaking out, I've noticed a couple of you that I've met, in the new group that have recently put out stuff. They're starting to do more sessions and things. What I need y'all to realize is that it's part of the process, because if you're not speaking to groups of people in some sense of the way, or at least just practicing it, then it's harder in order to integrate these energies the further that you get intertwined with them. You have to utilizing the tech and utilizing the social media stuff, even if nobody sees it, you'd be surprised where it starts catching on. But just working in that process, whatever it is, even if you're not even talking about healing, if you're talking about what you're cooking or what you plant or whatever it is, but there's a group of y'all that are going to step into a healing power. Because why? We don't need the damn shamans. The shamans were the problem. There's a whole bunch of healing techniques down here that should be, and in fact, I think they were wiped out, which is why we don't have any of them going on. All of you who just stepped through these past 7 years with a little bit of the shaman stuff, because you picked up from that, and then you use this shaman thing, and then, then this happened, and if you mix the shaman stuff with a little bit of this, and then you do a little bit of this, then now this works. There's a reason that none of y'all were prepared to speak about healing stuff the first 7 years. You've got the new shit. You've got the blend of all of it all together, not just one piece from here, not just one piece from here, not just one piece from here. Your field has it all in a soup around you, and you know how to operate it now, not 7 years ago. Now, this isn't something that you need to just turn around and go do right now. Remember that the 4th, January 4th, is our day. So these are just things that as these weird timelines and these things are falling and collapsing and showing us, over this first week in January, what is it bringing in 2025? What are you going to put into effect? What's your part in it? Not who you are. You're not going to find out who you were until you go do this part. That's why if you are if you're trying to figure out who you are and who you were, and you know that you were some queen, or you were this and you needed to get back, the only way that you're going to be able to prove that is if you start talking to all the people. Because if you really are a queen, if you really are a dynasty, if you really are a deity, then if you aren't speaking to the people, then I don't care if you really are it, you're not going to be able to claim it, because you're not speaking to the people. And listen, the messages are like this. Us pioneer women had this all figured out way back when. When I finally got away and got to College Station this last time, and met with my great aunts that are not specifically religious. We all grew up in that remnant Mormon faith, and so we're all not into it, They're older women. They're in their 60s and their 70s. Each one of them, still dealing with their grown children now, or their grandchildren, or different things. And, with all my wisdom that I'm sitting there and speaking to them, and they're asking me, how can we help? What can we do? It's basic maternal instincts. If your daughter's not calling you and you want her to call, then go keep writing over and over and over again her name. Call me, call me, call me, call me. If you think that she's in a situation, don't let your mind create the situation worse for her if you do not know what's going on. You have to stop doing that. You don't realize that you're making life hell by worrying. As a family, we need to have group calls. If you still have a family that's got any type of network to it, then get the women on a phone tree and go practical magic on this bitch and get everyone on a phone tree. And when something happens or something occurs in the family that you're worried about somebody, get on that phone tree, tell everybody what's going on, and have them think good thoughts and help manifest and get them energy out of it. Don't promote the bad shit. You're making it happen. In the pioneer days when the women and the mothers used to braid our hair before we went on the date, they were braiding in protection. Not braiding in dreads to make everybody dreadful and put it on a penny and go into the Middle Ages. When we sat in a sewing circle and we sewed in the physical, needle in, needle out, needle in, needle out, every single one of us. And we talked about family, and we talked about how to help each other with our families, and we were manifesting what was going to happen next, and we were talking through the men's problems with each other and trying to make a good, that is timeline writing. That's it. That's time weaving. We got to get back to the basics. And that is the message. And isn't that a great message? In a world where everything is so quantum and bit and blah, 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 and they made it so complex, but it's actually so fucking simple. These are the messages. This is the army that's on the ground. This is how we won the war. I love you guys. I'll be back soon. Happy almost New Year, or happy in between. And I hope this video helped. Everybody stay warm. And please go back and listen to this part, especially the end. We got this. All we need to do in the spiritual realm is show unification. And it has nothing to do with worship. It has to do with respect.